something about the song with Wiz Khalifa. Um, Remember or something like that. Something about that song. Somebody doesn't want you to remember something. Alrighty. They don't want you to remember something, Cancer. Alright. So a proverb that I'm pulling up is tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. So this is a Chinese proverb. Um, so it's something about. I'm getting like the Men in Black as well. So it's like tell me and I'll forget. So even if you tell somebody this, they may forget it. This may have something to deal with another message I was talking about with the Akashic records, where you basically don't remember, but you may remember bits and pieces or things like that, or some way somehow you remember, some way somehow you may just know something. It may not be that serious, but some way somehow you just might remember certain things. You don't know why, right? It's kind of like if I'm doing a message and I don't even know what I'm talking about, I'm just saying whatever comes to my brain, and or saying a song that comes to my brain, and I go look up that song, and that whole video is basically the whole main message of my of what I just talked about. And I'd be like, how is that possible? I don't know. It's kind of like a dream I had before the TV show. Not the TV show. Before the movie came out, I cloned Tyrone. I had a dream, and I shared my dream on here about how I had a dream, and I was in like this school or whatever this place was. I don't know if it was a school, but it was like had many different rooms, a big building, and they were just like asking me the same questions like, how do you know this? How do you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, and it's kind of like trying to force somebody to remember something that they just don't remember. Just because you can tell a person, I want you to remember, doesn't mean they're gonna remember for you. But in the dream, what was beautiful was how they could look out the window and they just saw somebody dancing in the snow. So yeah. And I'm also hearing dancing in the rain. I am dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. I don't know what song that is, but all I can hear is dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. But I saw in my dream that the person was just dancing in the snow and they were happy, and that made me feel happy that I could see them dance in the snow, even if I was locked in this place and people just wanting me to remember something that I can't remember. And I knew that I was like, damn, I wish that I could go outside and jump and just dance and twirl around in the snow. So it's something about that, Cancer. Maybe it's something that you've been waiting to do and you haven't been able to do it yet, but you either now have the opportunity to, and you're just like, man, I just waited for this moment, but in a strong way, in a good way, in a confident way. I don't feel like it was like me where um you just locked in somewhere and can't get out, but you are locked in somewhere now. You have been let out and you are ready for whatever you have been waiting to create. I'm also getting a cage. Okay, so this might have something to deal with a cage. Um, I'm also seeing like a person that was like in jail and they just waiting to like for the doors to open and go, outside of those doors. Um, but I'm also getting like a video game where, all right, they have let out, they released the Kraken. That's also what I'm hearing. Release the Kraken. So when you look at the word Kraken, you might even mistakenly think that it says cancer. So Kraken and cancer. Um, I also say what's cracking, but I'm coming up with like different words and different meanings and different sayings and abbreviations. So when I mean cracking, I mean CANKEN or cracker or cacken or cracker. It's CAN, canker. It's canker, okay? So it's about these words that all look the same, but they're different meanings, okay? I don't know if it's about something that is looks the same, but they're totally different in some type of way. So I'm saying like a video game where, or like a place where all these different people is locked up. I'm getting like the 13 ghosts. Um, for some reason, I know it sounds crazy, but we just flowing and going. What I say absolutely may not mean anything, but what I say is just whatever pops in my brain. And you just gotta use your brain so you lose your brain. So, okay, so we gonna use our brain. And but I'm seeing 13 ghosts. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting the feeling of, how they let out one ghost at a time or one person at a time. I don't know what actually happened in the 13 ghosts. I can't remember. All I know is that it was different ghosts, okay, and they were locked in these different rooms and they all looked at different, okay, but at the same time they were still ghosts. Okay, they were still evil things that is trying to, I guess, kill the people that live there or something like that. So it's something about, oh shit, the number 13. Okay. Um so yeah. And so I'm just seeing like somebody being let out, like released, like the doors opening to then to be released, right? And be an actual ghost. Maybe this can be files. Maybe this could be information. Maybe this could be something else. Or you are one of the 13 people that has been locked up and you are about to be released. Um, that can be something. Or you have been like 13 years of bad luck. They say 7 years, but what does 13 mean? I don't really know. Um, the cycle of 13 years, or I don't really know. And now somebody is being released, but the person that's being released is like, oh, I'm ready, I'm ready to go, let's go. Also something about the song with Jay-Z and Rihanna, Who's Gonna Run the Town Tonight. Okay, this is a song that I just heard before I came on here as well. Who's gonna run the town tonight? All right, I'm also getting Who Run the World, Girls? Who Run the World, Girls? So it's amazing how Jay-Z had the song of Who's Gonna Run the Town Tonight, and Beyonce has Who Run the World, which is girls. So it's about boys and girls. Okay, I'm also getting the Boys and Girls Club, the symbol of the Boys and Girls Club, symbols in general. That's why I said abbreviations. Okay, abbreviations. And what do they mean? Yeah, cancer. Okay, so I'm only working with Proverbs, right? um, so I just been trying to not that anything's wrong with tarot. I'm just trying to stay away from the tarot cards, which I don't really use tarot cards that much in general. Like I be trying, but I really I really don't be trying. Alexa off. Um I really don't be I really don't be trying to use the cards. I would rather just like words and things like that and whatever pops in my brain. I just say it. It don't even matter if it pops in my brain. I say it. Like that's the only thing that I can think of, you know. But which is a beautiful thing is when you look at the pictures. So I feel like that's another way how you can use maybe your insight. So I don't know if that's like you unlocking one of the 13 levels of yourself, one of the 13 levels of your tools, one of the 13 tools. I know in one of the message I was talking about tools and learning how to use tools, and I was talking about the hermit, right? And the hermit is ruled by Virgo, and Virgo is like the maiden. And also when I was reading the Bible yesterday, I was reading Proverbs 31, which is about a Proverbs 31 woman, right? And how the woman, how she uses her tools for good, or something about how she uses her tools and he's not just her family but also her maidens. Okay, so the Virgo is the maiden. I don't know if Virgo is connected to y'all, or Virgo is connected to this message, right? This can be for anybody as well. So, yeah, something about the tools. So, like the visuals also can help me because I can see things in a visual and I can see what maybe I feel that is inside of the picture, inside of, and it gives you answers. So you may be having to use one of your other senses, okay? Something about Spider-Man, Spidey senses, all right? Something might be about that. You might be, getting into your Spidey senses, one of the 13 Spidey senses, or one of your senses, right? We may think that, oh, this is the only sense, but sight is a sense as well, too, right? Like the Clairs, you know what I mean? Because most of the time when we're talking, or when I'm talking from what I hear in my brain, clairaudient, what I hear through music, what I hear. And maybe it's something about using another Clair, which is what do you see? What do you see? Okay. Just like art, when you go to a museum, what do you see in this picture? What do you see? Something about what do you see here? Okay. Um, Cancer. All right, I'm just flowing and going, flowing and going. Um, all right, so what I was talking about, the Virgo, the hermit, and what I could see from the Virgo was that this cloak, he has on a cloak, which is, I believe that in my eyes, is one of his tools. I connected the hermit with the magician because the hermit and the magician are both a Virgo card, which is connected to the proverb woman, a maiden. Okay, some way, somehow. And her maidens, okay? So it might be multiple maidens when you think about it. When you have a proverb woman, what does she wants to develop? She just don't want to be that only woman. She wants to develop more women like herself. Okay? So in order to develop more women or more things like yourself, you have to feed them. Okay, can I get an amen? So yeah, you have to feed them, okay? And maybe by feeding them, you maybe have to feed them some type of knowledge, okay? Feed them some type of insight, or feed them some type of sense, one of your senses. I'm gonna feed you one of my senses, or I'm gonna help you open up one of your senses, okay? I'm also getting the the senses when they first started to write how many people lived, right? How many people were alive when they come to your door? How many people live in your household? Things like that. But I'm also getting that connecting to German or the Nazi or whatever when they come and knocking on your door looking for a certain um looking for a certain nationality, looking for a certain person, looking for something certain, which that also reminds me of a dream that I had about, okay, well, somebody was outside of my house watching me, and all of a sudden they started beating the guy up, and I'm like, yeah, beat him because he been fucking watching me. He been fucking watching me. He been just having his car outside my house, and I want this motherfucker to leave me the fuck alone. Like, seriously. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking that the person that's beating him is someone that's helping me, because the person that's beating him has an umbrella. And I remember, but they was two umbrellas, something about the TV show Umbrella. And I go downstairs, and I run downstairs in the dream, and I open up the door, and I'm like, oh my God, you beat him. He been doing all this and doing all that. Like, he's been watching me. Like, won't leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? And then the guy, though, he was just so creepy. Like, when he came to me, he was very creepy, and he was like, I just can't wait. Like, oh my God, I've been waiting for you. I've been looking for you. I've been wanting you. Like, you can look, like, when you see that in a person's eyes, and you just like, wait, hold the fuck on. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. We fine. Let's push this thing on back. I'm gonna be right back. And you go upstairs, you lock the door. Like, I was just locking the door. I'm like, hell no. And then I'm like, okay, well, what if I've been looking at it differently and wrongly the whole time? And that reminds me of a message that I just did 2 days ago, where it's like, I'm not a liar, right? But I might be misinformed. So just because I thought what I thought, that don't mean I was lying about what I thought. Like, I really thought that was the truth. So, um, basically, in that dream, I go upstairs and I lock the door, and I figure out, like, damn, so the person that was actually that was watching me from the car was actually there for me, protecting me from this motherfucker. Okay. And I don't know, because in the dream, and how I put it in there, it was like, a good cop or a good guy that is like playing a double agent or some shit like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not gonna kill this woman. No, I'm not gonna do this. No, I'm not gonna do that. So that is basically what was going on in that thing. But see, I mean, in that dream. But see, how it made me feel was, it made me feel sad. I know sometimes people be like, "You always sad." Like, I be about to cry, and I don't care. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to cry," and it made me sad because I was like, why does it have to feel like you're fighting against the world while trying to save it at the same time? Why do you have to feel like you're trying to save your children and you alone? You just a fucking woman. At the end of the day, like, damn. It's not like, yes, women do have superpowers, right? You could be a superwoman, right? But at the same time, it's like sometimes men have this advantage over women, and it's like, dang, where are the men that want to really protect women? Like, this. So I felt horrible. And when I made the video to that dream, I had the Wonder Woman up there, and I never watched Wonder Woman. I don't watch many movies. I don't really do that or whatever. So I had put, Wonder Woman up there. She had like on this gold cape and this gold armor and things like that. And I was like, wow, like, look at that. Look at that woman. That's a powerful woman. How she stood was powerful. How she blocked that shit out was powerful. You know what I'm saying? How she was a shield. Okay. It was just beautiful to me. And I was like, this is, like, even though you're scared, even though you feel like you got nobody, a woman will stand in the middle. You know what I'm saying? She will stand, even though she like, I don't have enough. I don't have the strength that you have. I don't have the advantage that you have. But to give up on myself or give up on my children, you are absolutely wrong. No. I just I'm gonna have to stand up. If you want nigga nigga stand up. Like I don't give a stand up. Like, you just gonna have to stand up. And so yeah, that made me real emotional. Real emotional. Um in that message. So Cancer. Um, something about that. So we gonna rewind back to the hermit and dealing with the maiden and dealing with the musician and dealing with tools and why our senses important, which could be what people call clairs. Why are clairs important? You know what I'm saying? Clarity. Why is clarity important? And I feel like the more that maybe you use your brain, the more you use your mind, the more you use the tools or different tools or unlock tools, like a game, right? The more you will see, the more you will remember, the more you will open up, right? um yeah. Okay. So I'm getting something as well. Like imagine that you are the person in the cell. Hopefully not. Because this person looks bad and mean to me. I don't know. But imagine you are the person in the cell. Okay. And basically, you can't get out of that cell, or the ghost, one of the 13 ghosts, you can't get out of the cell until it is completely open, even though it opens up a little bit and opens up a little bit. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Like even though it opens up a little bit, but you cannot cross the boundary. You cannot cross the door until it's completely open. So it could be like, gladiator, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, this door is 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 halfway open, but it's not open completely. And I'm looking at my opponent and he's looking at me. You know what I'm saying? But we cannot go past this threshold until it is completely open, and you can't go past the threshold or you get burned. You know what I'm saying? It won't allow you to go, even though your whole body can fit through the door. But until the door is absolutely completely open, you cannot go through. So I don't know, that might be something, right? And that might be something about your uh senses. Oh my god. um Something about your senses. Something about your senses. Okay. um so like I was saying, I ain't trying to use tarot, but tarot was good for the visual sense, for the looking at sense, right? So you may be unlocking some of your senses. And the more that you unlock your senses is the more that you can teach another person how to unlock their senses. The more maidens unlock their senses by you unlocking your senses. So the senses that may be important now, if you always use hearing as a sense, it might be time to use seeing as a sense. Your sight, okay, as well, like spidey senses, and what you can smell, different smells, right? Or when you smell something certain, you know that this is going on. You're paying attention. Okay, I smell this certain smell, so I know that this is happening right now. I know that this is what's going on, because that is how life works, right? As well, when you smell something that is a chemical, you know that somebody's doing something. You know what I'm saying? Right? But about the about the seeing sense, right? With the hermit, it was about me seeing in the card how the light shined away from the hermit as well. It wasn't shining to the hermit, it was shining away from the hermit. So, meaning that what the hermit had on repelled the light. Okay, it repelled it. So, it it was a cloak. The hermit, in my eyes, the tools that the hermit had was the cloak and also the rod and the hair and also the lamp with the star in there. Something about, I believe it was 6 stars. I believe the hermit has a star with 6 stars instead of 5 stars. So it's two different stars. When you think about a star, you think about either the star is a 5 point star, or the star is a 6 point star as well. Okay, so those were the hermit's tools. And see, I believe that the star was also something to be used so the hermit can see what they're looking at, to see where they're going, to see what they're digging for, to see. Hey man, can I get a see? Yes, one of the senses, to see. One of your senses is to see. Okay, see. What are you looking at? What do you see? And I'm also hearing, do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Okay, that is a song, that is a nursery rhyme or something like that. Um, do you see what I see? The senses. What are the senses now? What is the numbers now? The numbers of the population. What's the numbers? It's something about numbers here. That's also a song called Numbers that might have something to do with this message. The census. Something about the census when they come knocking on your door about how many people are in your household, or when somebody's asking on a document or on taxes or whatever you're trying to get government assistance, how many people are in your household? They always want to know. So, do you see what I see? All right. All right, Cancer, but this can be for any sign. All right. So back to the proverb is, tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. So we already talked about the tell me and I'll forget. You know, you might tell me something and I may forget unless I just lock it in my brain, like ding ding, lock it in my brain. And you know what I'm saying? I kind of tell my daughter that how to remember a certain spelling word is like, look, I know this word and I'm not going to forget this word and I'm going to lock it in my brain. It's locked in. I'm going to lock in this time. I'm going to remember this time. I remember this event is locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you actually locking things inside of your brain so you do not forget them. Okay, because sometimes the amount of things that we hear throughout the day, it's gonna go through one ear and out the other, unless it's something that you really want to know, right? So that's something. So it says, "Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember." So if you show it to me, I may remember, right? But you may not remember it being like that. Okay? Can we get a amen? Like, seriously, like, it can be a sense of seeing something one time and remembering the feeling that you got when you saw it, and then seeing it months later, years later, and you getting a whole nother feeling from it. You now looking at it in a whole different way than you seen it when you first saw it. It's kind of like looking at a picture, right? When we're talking about the senses of sight, looking at a picture and you say, "Oh man, this is just a picture of trees. This is just a regular picture." The whole time you look at the picture months later, years later, or maybe even a couple hours later, and somebody tell you, "Hey, did you see that face in that tree?" A face in a tree? What? So if I tell you, right? I mean, if I show you, you may remember, like, "Oh man, you're right. I do see a face in a tree." So sometimes somebody has to show you something in order for you to remember, right? I'm going to show you this birthday cake because you may remember that time at that location in that year as a child just by seeing that birthday cake. You have to see it. But also I gotta tell you, I gotta use some magic words for you to see it. So if I show it to you and I say something like, "Oh wow, look at that look at that part of the cake." And you're like, "Wow, I didn't even see that inside of the cake years ago." But now I see more than what I saw inside of that cake years ago. So that is something else. So then maybe you'll remember, right? It says, "I may remember," right? So it's not 100% thing because you could be looking at the same thing and you still don't see shit. Okay. You still don't see nothing, right? Let's see. I gotta get my charger real quick because my phone is about to die. And if it dies, then we're out of luck. Alrighty. All right. Okay. So, right. So, you know, some people ain't gonna see everything that you see. So you might see something differently. And like it says in this proverb, "I'll tell you and you'll forget. And if I show you, you may remember." But it ain't a guarantee that you will, right? It's not a guarantee. And it says evolve. I said evolve. Involve me and I'll understand. Involve me and I'll understand. So maybe it's 3 steps to certain things in life cancer, right? We're through the first step and the second step, and now we come to the third step. Whereas if you can't remember what I tell you, if I tell you and you don't get it, all right, we're going to go to the next step, in which is I'm going to show you and kind of tell you a little bit, but you may remember, you're like, and if you still don't remember, we got to go to the third step. And which the third step is, I got to involve you so you'll understand. That means I got to put you in the circumstance mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, okay? So you'll understand. It's like the three ghosts, right? The past, the present, and the future that came to see the man, you know. Um they came to see him. The first one was of his childhood. And when they came to see him, he understood, like it made him emotional, right? Thinking about his childhood. I forgot old dude name, but Christmas movie. And his past, and you see how he was when he was a kid, and how maybe he was happy, or how he was just jovial, but also you see what made him to who he would become, what made his heart turn, right? A little bit. And then the second ghost is the ghost of the present. And that ghost is kind of telling you this is what you're doing right now, right? I'm showing you what you're doing right now. And you may accept what you're doing, and then you may deny what you're doing as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? You give the excuse, you know, to what you're doing. Like, yeah, I did that, but. And then sometimes it is a but sometimes it's a, all right, you know, I gotta take responsibility. That is some fucked up shit. And then we have the third ghost of the future. And that ghost shows you your future. So that is like this, where it says, involve me and I'll understand. And sometimes in life, we will have people from the future, mentally, physically, metaphorically, spiritually, right? Events that will, or events, right, that will show us our future, that will show us basically what we're waiting on. Because it's like once that door is fully open and there is nothing holding you back from your opponent and your opponent you, what would you do? And what if your opponent is death? What if that is your opponent? So the third ghost had to come and show him what his future would be in order for him to see, like, man, I gotta get my shit together. Man, I don't wanna be like this. Man, I don't wanna live like this. I don't want that to happen. I don't want those events to take place. So sometimes you will be grabbed and being shown the future. And that may be the chance for you to change something around and use your tools. Either use the 13 ghosts or use your 13 tools, whatever the case may be, your senses, the sensa. I remember they had a thing called sensa as well that I tried. That was the first diet product I tried. It was like, you sprinkle this on your food, you'll feel full longer. I mean, yeah, feel full longer or quicker, so you won't eat all your food. It's like you just sprinkle it on there. I don't know if it really worked, but yeah, it had no taste to it. Also, something about somebody's trying to take your taste away, or the taste just doesn't taste the same. The taste has been taken away. When I think about that, I think about the food now. The taste has been taken away. You know what I'm saying? When I had bologna back in the day, it was so like salty and delicious. Now it's like bland. I'm like, what happened to bologna? Um, I seen how Reese's supposed to be like using back the original ingredients, because I believe the son or the grandson was like, no, I want you guys to go back to how he created it at first. Hey, that could be a good thing. And then, how you be thinking about in life, like, I don't know. I don't know. But I do miss the taste of how things tasted in the past compared to how they taste now. It has no taste. So, yeah, I hope y'all got some type of value out of this, cancer. Make sure y'all look up the songs and the nursery rhymes and the movies that I talked about. It definitely may mean something to you. I'll be busy back.